Yo guys, what is good? As here once again with another Genshin Impact video. So today we are going over the bosses and I show you how I beat them. You can take it for what it is, and I go over some of the mistakes I made and give you some tips and tricks on how to beat them efficiently. So let's start with it and I will see you once it's done. Okay, so this is the first boss. This is the Electro Hypostasis, right? That's the name. So this is probably the easiest boss. As you can see, this is a new entry. I was fighting this boss for the first time as well, and I needed to figure out what the mechanics around it was. So here I discovered that every time this monster is in this core form, so in this form, you can deal damage to it. And if it's surrounded by these globes, then you cannot deal damage to it whatsoever. So definitely, if you want to understand how these fights work, the Electro Hypostasis is definitely the one that you should attack first. So let's just speed this up a little bit, because there wasn't too much that I needed to pay attention to, maybe because it's the easiest and my team kind of overwhelms it. So it also doesn't really have strong healing mechanisms. Here you need to in the end just destroy the little 3 globes, and then the boss is done. All of these hypostases, they have some sort of healing mechanic, and I think the Electro one is the weakest one, because you can just beat them. As you can see here, just beat this up and there we are, done. So that was a pretty easy fight. So let's go over to the second one. And yeah, so here we are, and you can see that I start most of my fights with my Chi-Chi because she is my dedicated healer, kind of. So in case you don't know, Chi-Chi has a passive that allows her to heal the unit that is active once she used her element. So that's why I usually start with her, and then I switch with the elements in case of they take damage. So this one is rather complicated. This is actually my second fight with this. I just wanted to clear this out a little bit better. So here you have these globes, and every time there is a globe and the monster goes into the last healing phase, it will take all of these globes and heal for that amount. So if you don't remove those globes from the battlefield, then yeah, you will have a tougher time than it has to be. Other than that, this thing takes as much damage as the one before, and so I went in with the same team as I went before for the Electro Hypostasis, and it was completely fine. Obviously, if you don't have Venti, you cannot fly in between and fly up, but you don't need him because this guy, he generates these updrafts, these ones, yeah, and when the ball's out, you can destroy them. I think now, yeah, they come up and you can see there are all of these, and you just jump around. And there I did a mistake because I jumped around too much. If you don't want to get caught by the enemy in most of these pull-in attacks, you can just use the drafts and use them to your advantage when they are up. So here I decided to not be stupid anymore and finish the fight up. So we're just waiting until it comes into core, and then burst it down. And there we go. That was a little bit overkill. The next one is the hardest of them all. Here I actually switched to Razor. You need a Claymore type in order to break this Geo stuff, because your other units won't necessarily be able to break this efficiently. And this fight took me 12 minutes because I also needed to understand what's going on, and this thing deals ridiculous amounts of damage. And also my Razor isn't fully leveled up, so we're lacking a lot of damage on that front. If you have Noelle, she can help you with that, or any heavy hitter with a Claymore should be able to do well for you in here. One thing that I didn't see or understood very well is that if you have a healer that is based on damage, they won't heal off these little things. They don't give damage, which is kind of stupid. And a lot of times I couldn't switch between characters when I was on that thing, on these pillars. So I don't really know what was going on there exactly. However, once you get into a damage phase, it gets pretty quickly. As you can see, we can damage quite a lot. And here I was just trying to build up with my Razor the little globe so he can deal more damage. And yeah, you can see I have now 3 globes, and I hope that once I come into the damage phase again, that Razor can just demolish them really quickly. This earthquake hurts. It hurts a lot. You will actually see me revive quite a few times. And Shichi just comes super clutch here because the elemental damage, I can just switch between the characters and get some healing out. I try to keep my my skills on a fairly quick rotation. You see me switch between characters back and forth, mainly because I want to get this rotational damage in. However, as I mentioned, like sometimes when I attack with my Shichi against these pillars, I get this cannot switch character, and I'm already trying to get through my rotation and hit it like 2 or 3 times. As you can see, Razor here deals phenomenal damage, especially with his wolf up. So I have him built as an energy generator so that I can get the wolf up really quickly. Obviously I'm still very early, so there isn't really a build for it, but I've equipped him with the exile set to get more energy and energy in general. So here we are very close towards the end, and as mentioned, like all of these bosses have some sort of healing built in with them. So yeah, you need to destroy these pillars there. And once you have done this a couple of times, then obviously you have won. I for one am still far away from it. As you can see, like my Razor getting kind of destroyed here, and these pillars, they get stronger over time. Like they take less and less damage the longer the battle goes. So at some point you actually want to like either restart the battle or yeah, it gets hard to push through, especially when the boss is hovering above them and powering them up, like then they take less and less damage. Here I tried to power through, but yeah, didn't work, so now I'm focusing back on these pillars. They also regenerate, so you need to be careful that you actually kill them and not just leave them up. And here I lose Razor once again, and now I try to go in with Chi, but she cannot do anything, so I didn't want to restart the fight, so I went like super hard for and tried to burst everything down, and yeah, it worked out for me. This is by far the most annoying fight because the boss takes so little damage from what you're doing. Okay, so these are the three hypostasis, and let's get into the real annoying fights. So here we are at the Cryo Regisvine, and this one is actually pretty easy with my team, just because Fischl is pretty efficient here, and Diluc as well, and you can just hit a lot of the core pieces fairly easily. You can see here in the middle where I try to aim at, there is one of the core pieces, and once you get that done, you get this boss monster in this down stage and have a damage phase. If you play better than me, then probably you can manage to get this done in maybe 2 rotations. But yeah, was my first time actually trying to fight it, so I went a little bit overboard with what I thought I could do, and it also takes a while because I just pulled Fischl and Venti, so I'm still not very familiar. This was the first one that I did today, I believe. So yeah, that took a little bit of a learning curve. And here, once I get into the last damage phase, then it's done. Pretty easy to accomplish. Okay, so the next one, that took me probably the rest of the day. It's a long way out, and it's actually in the second region, so you will probably not gain access to this fairly early on. You need to at least get to Louis, and then yeah, still travel quite a while. It's the same as the Cryo in my opinion. They share very similar mechanics. However, we don't have many ranged hydros besides Mona and maybe Barbara, but Barbara probably doesn't deal enough damage. And yeah, so this gets a little bit annoying. In the end, I was just like, yeah, whatever. Try to get in with my Chi and my Diluc. If you have somebody like Aya, I think he could be better than Diluc just because of the element. But I didn't have him built up, and I didn't want to switch. I thought, oh, I can probably manage to do it just like that. So as you can see here, it becomes a whole festival of fireworks, and the phase where basically you need to run around and below you the ground will explode. That is probably the hardest one to evade. Simply because there are so many of these balls coming, flying from all sides, and then you have the ground exploding. It's too much to just quickly evade with the right click ability. So you need to walk way more than I did in the beginning. And yeah. All in all, a fight that, if you have a strong healer, can be tanked out for the most part. It's not really that difficult in terms of what you need to be aware of mechanics. So there's once the kind of fireballs that it throws at you, then you have the ground fireworks that basically explode everywhere you go, and lastly you have like some of the plants that go around and behind you. I completely ignored them because they didn't really present a threat. Maybe later they will. And for the last fight, this one is hard. You need to have an Electro type. This is the only one where I believe you are bound to an element. If you don't have an Electro type, you're basically not be able to beat this boss whatsoever. The reason for that is that at later stages, at the end of the fight, there is 2 pigs, and they regenerate health if they are not electrocuted. So you need to have a proper Electro unit in there. That could be Razor. Razor is very good. I believe Badu is a Razor unit. She's very fast, so that would be pretty good. And obviously Fischl, pretty good. Lisa, also a pretty good choice. Something that can constantly apply the Electro debuff is the best. So Lisa's Q ability, Fischl's E ability is pretty perfect. Razor, you probably will have a harder time to keep it up all the time. And Badu, I didn't play around with her, so I don't know how her cooldowns are. Anyway, so this boss, you never attack her by herself. It's always these mirage monsters that you fight, and as you can see, you can be tossed, thrown off the platforms. She removes the platforms. The ice that she's or the water that they spawn, you have a hard time to evade. It's very hectical, as you can see. And yes, this is 2 times speed up, but it's basically just a nightmare of a fight because you constantly just run around and try to evade everything that gets thrown at you. And it's a lot. So you have some breathing time here in these phases. And yeah, then we get to these boars. And yeah, I didn't realize that for a long while. I thought like, oh, these boars are really hard to kill. I don't know why. Like, why do they take so long? But you can see, like, I'm not applying the any electrocution to them, so I cannot deal damage to them. And while you can burst them down for some part, as you can see, they heal up super quickly. So you need to focus one of them down. You cannot, like, maybe you can with your damage, but the best thing is you just focus one guy down, constantly hammering on him, and not switch targets like I did here. Because if you let them heal up, then it will just take a while. I think at this point I still didn't realize it fully, because I was trying all other things. Yeah, I think I still completely missed that point, and I wanted to heal up my Fischl now with my Chi-Chi, and I was like, oh, cool, maybe I need just more damage. Then I realized, oh, okay, Electro charge, cool, now I can beat them. I think this is the part where I realized it, and where I stopped focusing on just one. Freeze this guy, then electrocute him. Like, I tried to electrocute him without the E ability. That's basically not gonna fly. It's not strong enough, as you can see. So I needed my E ability back with Fischl in order to constantly apply the electrocution, and then you can hammer on them pretty hard. Obviously, you see a lot of misplays where I'm just running around and doing the wrong things at the wrong time. But here I actually got it. Oh, still not. Here I actually got it. Okay. And there we go. So that was the last fight. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed that showcase of the 6 bosses that you need to defeat in order to evolve your units or send your units to the next stages. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments below, and yeah, if you like it, hit the subscribe button, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Until then, enjoy the grind.